Hello and welcome to another Fantasy Grounds video. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook, which is the new 2024 version of that particular book, and what the module will look like within Fantasy Grounds, both in the store and on our platform. So if we look on the store right now, I'm on fantasygrounds.com, and you'll see that the Player's Handbook is in the list here. It'll obviously show up if you do a search. It does show up under the game system will be not 5e compatible, but Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, if I can find it here, D&D 5th edition. And then you can do a search for Handbook or whatever you want. And you'll see here that there are two versions of that. So this is the new version, and then this is the old version. You click on each of those, you'll see that this is part of the Dungeons & Dragons 2024 Core Rulebook Pre-Order Bundle. If you click here, you'll see that this item is no longer in pre-order status, but these two, the Dungeon Master's Guide launches in November, and then this one launches in February of 2024. So here's the dates that those are scheduled to release, and then this was obviously scheduled to release today on September 17th, which is the date of this video. And yeah, there you go. You can complete the bundle. This will add them in your cart. There's no discount for this Core Rules bundle, but there is still a discount on the other older version, which you can still use if you want. And you can also use some of these older things with the new content, which I'll demonstrate here in a little while. So this is the older version. So you'll see it has the older cover, and it's part of the D&D Essentials bundle, which includes other products such as the old Monster Manual, the old Dungeon Master's Guide, Tasha's Xanathar's Guide, and Monsters of the Multiverse. So that's how you would get it from your store. Just add it to your cart. Check out, run an update, it'll update in your system automatically. And then within Fantasy Grounds, I can now create a new campaign. I'm going to call this the D&D 2024 demo. And then down here below, I'm just going to select Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It's still D&D 5e, even though this is the new version of that. You don't have to select anything else different. You'll just select that, select 5e, and then you'll notice here you won't have all of these same extensions. This depends upon what you have loaded in your system. But there is a theme called Dungeons & Dragons. This is a new theme that Adam Bradford has put together for us. The old theme, if you want to look here, you'll see that there is a legacy D&D. So if you liked our old official Dungeons & Dragons theme, it is still there and available. It's just going to be called the legacy D&D theme at this point. Only ever load one theme at a time because they do override the look and feel, and they're not meant to be mixed and matched with one another. So I'm going to load the new theme. I'm in LAN mode. I'm not going to do a remote version at this point. And then I'm going to click Start. So after you make your purchase, though, you do want to make sure you do check for updates. That will download it and install it for your system, whether you bought it on Steam or on our system. So this is going to go through. I'm going to pause the video for just a second. Okay, so after a brief wait, that will load up the campaign and the rule set for me. You'll see that there's this prompt that says, use the 2024 D&D rules as your default. Do you want to use the new D&D 2024 rules by default? You can use both the D&D 2024 rules and the legacy rules interchangeably, and you can even adjust those, your default choice, later on. So I'm going to say yes, and then I'll show you where you can update that later on. This campaign setup will also prompt you with all of our normal kind of stuff. If you want to preload, say the D&D 2024 free rules is also available. If I want to preload that, I can go ahead and select that. You'll see that that's now loaded. Let's load the 2024 core rules. That's now loaded as well. And then if I really want to even load in the old 5e core rules, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Those will load in as well. And you'll see that this will load in the old Player's Handbook, Monster Manual core rules, etc. In fact, let me load in, I think that's fine for now. Then you can go to Next, and then Options here will open your campaign options, which is the same thing as clicking this Options button here. If I scroll down, you will see that there's a new option under Game, which says Game Base Record Version. Right now it's set to 2024 because I answered yes on the prompt earlier. If I want to change that and go back to Legacy, it'll set it to Legacy. I will show where that will come into play later on, but in a sense, what it basically does is it sets the automatic default version record value for any time you create a new record. If you create a new NPC record, a new class, item, spell, whatever, it'll use the new 2024 version of that by default unless you have it set to legacy. But again, like I said before, you will be able to switch those and toggle those on a per record basis whenever you want. So this is just a convenience factor essentially. So I've selected that, close this window down, and now I've got the new theme. You can see it's got the new graphics from the new rulebook, which I think look fantastic. And then if I go into my library and modules, you'll see I've got all of these stuff loaded. These are all of the older core rules that we've loaded from before, so those are still available in your system. And then here I have the new D&D free rules, which if I just show you what that does real quick, it has every one of the 12 classes. It will only have a single subclass for each one of those, but they're all basically there. You can actually utilize these, and they're all preset up and ready to go. So you can build characters with just that content, and those are all built into Fantasy Grounds. So you don't have to do anything to get those other than just run an update. You'll be all set, ready to go. The new Player's Handbook here, if I show you that one, you'll see that it has all the background classes. So it has the same 12 classes, but within there will be additional subclasses for each one of those. There's like 3 different subclasses for every different type. Those will show up in the list here. And you get all of the new 2024 versions of the feats, the items, NPCs, all that sort of stuff, essentially. Now, because I have both of these things loaded, if you only want to run D&D 2024 stuff all by itself, then just only load that module. Don't load the other core modules. It'll be a little bit less cluttery for you in a couple of these different sections. But let me just show you really quickly where you can go and identify that. So if I open up my item screen, this is going to expand this out. It will show, let me hold down control and then move this. It'll show every different item. In case there's going to be some duplication because there's some stuff from the Dungeons Master's Guide. Here's one where there's a vial of acid, which is from the new Player's Handbook and from the free rules and also from the old Player's Handbook. And so if I open up each of those, here's the one. You'll see that it says Legacy down below, and then the one from the free rules. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. So that's selected to say only show me the free rules. But if I wanted to actually click on this here, there we go. Here's the 2024 version from the free rules, and then a 2024 version from the paid version. So those look basically the same. Where that will differ is if I look at something like, let's say chainmail. So chainmail, if I look at the free version of the chainmail, and let's actually look at the old version also, the legacy version, and then the new version, the new paid version, you'll see that now it has an image that shows what that is, because Wizards of the Coast has included images for a lot of things that they did not previously include images on. If I look on the old stuff, there's no images at all there at all, so those are not even selectable. But otherwise, the stats, if there's anything different or unique about that, if I look at something like a greatsword, you will see here on the new version, the Dungeons & Dragons here, that it now has the mastery information. So you'll get grays once you get mastery. That'll show up there. If I ever want to filter the list to say, okay, I don't want to, even though I have all of these modules loaded, if I only want to see one version, I can say only show me the legacy content or only show me the 2024 content. So yeah, that's how you could filter. And each one of these different sections, NPCs and parcels and everything else, will have this version, and you can select legacy or 2024 if you want to filter it at any point in time there. Okay, this is how the Player's Handbook will look within your reference manual. So you can get to this by accessing books, and then you can click on the new Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook, or you can look at the free rules if you want to look at the free rules version as well. The free rules version will have everything you need to know to basically get up and play and to create a basic character. You can see you can kind of step through here. You can use the next page and just kind of go through and read that, or you can pop this out and read it this way if you so choose. You can obviously hide the table of contents if you don't care about that. But that's how you would read the module. If you look at the official version, you'll see that you also have images, that you can pop these images out and you can share those with the players, or you can resize them, do whatever you want to do with the images. You can even save the image down here, and then later on, if I so choose, I can open up and see the image. But that has all the contents of the book. It's basically like a PDF reader on steroids that you could then use to then navigate and read through the exact rules of the book. So if you have a custom rule that you really like or that you want to refer back to regularly, you can basically drag that bookmark. If I go back to here again, you can drag that shortcut for that section. Let's say if I wanted to know about the assassin, if I always wanted to be able to refer back to this page, I could just drag this down here. And then if I have, like, I don't know, something about a certain spell or a rules glossary or something, if I wanted to refresh my memory about the blinded condition, because I use the blinded condition a lot, I could drag that there. Anything you want to do, you can just drag it to your hotkey bar, or you can make a notes and like that. And then whenever I want, I can just open up the assassin or the blinded condition, and you have an easy reference that you can refer to. So next we're going to look at character creation. And so I'm going to go in and do under player characters, I'm going to use the character wizard first. You can also use drag and drop. We'll show a little bit of that, but this is the preferred way of making characters. And I'll close this down. So you've got your initial selection, and because I have multiple books selected, you'll see that I have the Anti-Paladin from the D&D Masters Dungeon Masters Guide. You'll also notice that it has the legacy suffix tagged to that particular module, just to let us know that this is using the rules, the original 5e rules that are now referred to as the legacy rules are there. But you can still build that character. If I click on the Anti-Paladin, I can read about what that is. The version will say legacy. In some cases, say like Barbarian, you'll see that there's a drop-down box here. Now I can select, do I want the Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook, which if I click on this will show me that this is the 2024 version, or do I want to grab the one from the free rules, or the old version, the legacy version is still available if I wanted to build a character. If I click on that, you'll see that this is now the legacy version of that character. And you can actually pop both of those out and look at them if you wanted to figure out, like, what are the differences between these two. You can kind of look at them side by side and do like a side-by-side comparison and figure out what's changed, maybe on the feature list, for instance. Have the features changed? Are we getting something in a different spot than we did before? It's a great way to kind of compare and contrast what those are. And then the other tab will basically show me that what you get per level, your hit points, your primary ability, all of that sort of stuff, how they've changed from one to the next. In the old version, you had your specializations here. The new version is broken out a little bit differently, but that's basically how those two records are set up. So I'm going to start off by just building a stock character that's a 2024 exclusive character, and what that will look like in the new system. So let's grab I'm going to grab a druid in this particular case. Actually, we'll do a fighter. I'll do a fighter. So I can read about the fighter. I can add the fighter in by clicking on the plus. Select my proficiencies. I've got animal handling and history. And my fighting style is now going to ask me for the category fighting style. It's preset. And I say, okay, I want to be a great weapon fighting specialist. You'll see now that as I select those things, it will update the record for me automatically. And I can move on to the background. On the background here again, just like before, there's old backgrounds and new ones. We're going to focus on just the new stuff for now. So let's make him an entertainer. And backgrounds in 2024 is now where you get your ability score increases. It used to be in the species on the legacy version. So if I wanted to select here, I can say, okay, I want to have, say, strength, since I'm a combat type character. Dexterity is going to be my secondary. On my tool proficiency, I'm proficient with the bagpipes, and then I'll move on to species. Again, I'm going to stay with the new rules, and I'm going to pick a Dragonborn. In this case, I have a selection of different types of Dragonborns. I'll select the Silver Dragonborn. Again, I can click on this if I want to read about what that means, see what kind of other things it gets. So you'll see that here, selecting Silver Dragonborn will give me the Silver Dragonborn breath weapon plus the damage resistance appropriate for that particular type of Dragonborn. I'll select that. These are all the other things that there is no selection, but I can read about them. I'm not doing anything else different there. It's just telling me, hey, this is what you get with this type of species. And you'll see that these check marks fill out as I complete each of these steps. For the abilities, I can select which method I want. Do I want to do a dice roll, a point buy, or standard? I want to go with standard for now. And then these are the base scores. So if I don't like the layout, I can just click and drag these over, move them around if I wanted my intelligence to be the main This particular case, I'm building a fighter type, so I want these to be the best, but I probably want to shift these around a little bit and maybe put a 13 there so that I'll end up in a 14 dex and a 14 con. And then I can go to equipment, and here you'll see that this is where I get my different options as choice A and choice B as a character. I can choose my background, gives me either a musical instrument and all this sort of stuff, or 50 gold. And then my class gives me a chainmail, greatsword, flail, or I can do the studded leather armor version, or I can choose the gold. In this particular case, I'm doing a great weapon person, so I'm going to do the greatsword option. And then here, I'll probably just go with the 50 gold. And then that added it into my background wealth. And my starting wealth, I have 54 gold that I will start with automatically. And this is going to be Bob the Fighter. I'll save it. And now I've got Bob the Fighter. I want to go to my assets, and I'll search for an asset. For instance, I want to do the player's handbook. Here I'm going to use the new Dungeons & Dragons player's handbook, and you can see there's a lot of great assets here. So you can use these for your various characters. So I wanted to do a barbarian guy. Yeah, this guy looks like he's pretty good. If I look at him, looks pretty solid. So I can click here, and I can use this as my camera view. And then I want to grab this same guy, see if I've got a picture of him that I can use for the face. Should have him in here somewhere. Just do a search, barbarian. Not seeing him right now. Here he is. Oh, he's in the D&D 2024 portraits. He's in a different model, so I had pre-filtered it to there. So I've got the portrait and the camera-facing version that I can use. He's all set, ready to go. All right, so that's the first character. That's with just basically staying with 2024 rules only, not doing any sort of mixing and matching whatsoever. And now I'm going to jump into a new character, show you very quickly how you can mix and match these things. If I wanted to build, let's say, an old version of the rogue, I could come through here and select a legacy version. I could say do a rogue here, select my proficiencies. So even though I have the 2024 rules as my default, I can pick and choose anything I want here. Let's say athletics and deception again. And in the background, I could go all classic stuff if I wanted. I could select the source here and say just show me only the legacy options, or I could use the drop down there. Let's go with the gladiator. And then under the species, I'm going to also just say give me something from the player's handbook. Let's grab dwarf. And let's get my ability score increase here. It's all set. My tool, proficiency, brewer. Okay, so what am I missing? Missing one. Oh, I need to choose either hill dwarf or mountain dwarf. I'll choose mountain dwarf. Now I'm complete here. Abilities, again, I'll do the standard array. I'm not going to adjust anything here. I'll just keep the same. And you'll see in this particular case, because I'm using legacy, the background is going to not have any ability score increases, and the species does have the ability score increase. And then if I get to equipment, the equipment choices are a little bit different. There's a bunch of different selections here, so those will work the same. I want to grab like the short bow here and there, and I'm going to do the mandolin, and then burglar's pack. All right, so I've made my rogue. Or if you don't want those, you could also just say give me the starting gold, and then use 135 gold that you can use to create a character. This is Brandy the Legacy Rogue, and you'll assign an image to him the same way as you did before. Now I'm going to create a character that uses a little bit of both. So in this particular case, I'm going to make a new rogue here, and I'm going to choose my proficiencies, and that's all going to look pretty much the same in the beginning. But when I get to level 3, you'll notice that I get a rogue subclass option. So the rogue subclass option, here you'll see I've got these all set. And I can choose a thief or assassin. Okay, so I found my mistake. I meant to load up Xanathar's Guide and Tasha's because those give additional subclasses that I could choose from if I want to mix and match the legacy. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this character with some different options, and then we'll come back to this later on. So let's grab a thief. We'll do background, and I will select an old background with the new character. So let's grab the criminal from the old Player's Handbook, the legacy version, which did not give me any bonuses. And then here under the species, I'm going to grab the new version of the dwarf. And now if I look over on my commit tab, you'll see that there's a warning, and it tells me that I've chosen a 2024 species and a legacy background, and that I should adjust the miscellaneous ability scores by increasing one score by 2 and a different one by 1, or increasing 3 scores by 1. Additionally, if the background doesn't include a feat, choose an origin feat. So if I go to abilities, you'll see here, because I chose the choices I made, there are no bonuses from the background or the species, so I can just go through here and select, let's do standard array, and I'm going to move Dex as my number 1, followed by Charisma, for instance. If I wanted to then update that, I could say, well, I want my Dex to be +2, and then I want my Constitution to be +1, because I didn't get those other bonuses earlier. So now I'm still pretty much ready to go. I'll select my information here, and then commit it, and now I've got a new character. This is a Mixie, the mixed up rogue. I can do save. And now I have a new thing, and then under the under the notes section, this note is written to the character. So if you don't do anything, then you can refer to that. Once you're happy and you've given yourself an origin feat, you're going to go into your feats section here, and I can say, give me, I want the 2024 version, and the category, show me the origin feats. Then I can say, okay, I want to be a lucky person. So just drag that over, and now I'm lucky. The feat's there. I'm all set. I can go to my notes, and I can now clear that out because it's no longer pertinent, and I'm good to go. All right, so now I'm going to go in. I'm going to go to modules and activation. I'm going to load Xanathar's. I'm going to load the player version of Xanathar, and then I'm going to go to Tasha's. I'm going to load the player version of Tasha's. And now if I go back and I create a new character, and we're going to pick a rogue once again, and this time I'm not going to fill out the other information, but when I get to level 3 under rogue subclass, you will now see that there's other options available. So there are still, if I wanted to do a swashbuckler, for instance, that comes from Xanathar's Guide. It's not in the new rules. If I click on it, you'll see that this is now a 2024 version of that particular thing. If I go to other, you'll see that it has everything coming in at level 3. If I wanted to show what this looks like as a cleric, let's grab a cleric character, and let's make a character that's a level 3. Cleric subclass, everything kicks in at level 3 now, and you'll see that if I grab just the life domain, that's from the new rulebook, everything comes in, again, at level 3 for subclasses. If I looked at the forge domain, this is the 2024 version of that, and you'll see that all of these things, the domain spells and so forth, have all been moved to level 3. If I look at under classes and then I click specializations, you'll see that if I wanted to show what is the old version, the legacy version of the, what did I say, forge domain. So this is the legacy version, so I can pair this up side by side. Actually, I can say show me both. There's two different versions. Here's the legacy one, and here's the non-legacy one. You'll see that they basically have been modified. So the legacy version gives you stuff at level 1 and level 2, and then stuff at level 3. Everything has been modified to be, you get it at level 3, because that's how the 2024 rules work. And I'm building a 2024 character. Again, if you want a pure legacy character, then just stay with legacy all the way through, and you'll be fine. But here I can say, give me the forge domain from the Xanathar's Guide, and then I can pick my spells and all that kind of stuff. And then as I move through, then it'll just handle that for me automatically. There is also going to be other types of warnings if you switch those around. And let's say I grab an old, actually I grab a new background and an old species. Let's grab Dungeon Master's Guide version of the Aasimar. And you'll see here it tells me that I chose a legacy species in a 2024 background, so the ASI, the ability score increase for the species, is now going to be ignored. So it does not add that, whereas it would have previously. The background here, because I chose a new background, does give me that option. If I can select those, now my abilities will show that I've got my background abilities, but I don't get the species ability, even though the species ability would give me an ability score increase for the species. So that's basically been ignored. If you don't want that and you still want to grant your players both bonuses, even though that would double up on the bonuses, you can still do that. Just come through here and either use the miscellaneous or the override. So if I say, okay, no, I really want my species to give me that bonus, there you go. You've got it all set, and your standard array will all adjust. And you can do whatever you want to do within Fantasy Grounds. We're not going to prevent you from using it the way you think is appropriate. Okay, so that's all set, and you got a new character. It does have the warning, and that warning will go to your Notes tab, so you'll be able to see that. And then you can call this another new guy or girl, whatever. Okay. Next up is going to be the NPC section. Next up is the NPCs, and you'll see that a lot of the NPCs are also provided in the free rules. If I look at the free rules here, you'll see that the ape is included. You'll also notice that the layout looks a little bit different. If I was to unlock this, if I toggle between Legacy and 2024, you can see the layout does change. And it has mostly the stat blocks here are rendered differently. Here you got your checks and your saving throws. You can click and roll those. If I wanted to switch to the 2024 version, then these are basically clickable for the saving throw or the modifier. Also, the initiative is going to be popped up here into a different spot. Sorry. Popped up here. Oops, not legacy. I want to lock it. Right there. You can drag that in and then roll the dice. And then you've got the attacks are going to be basically the same as what they were previously. And then you have a picture if it has a picture. So this is the free rules version of the ape, does not have a picture. If I look at the new version here, you'll notice that Wizards of the Coast did provide a image that we then use to create a flat token for the top-down view and a picture that is going to be usable for the 2.5D version. Okay, we have also some new stuff with regard to summon characters. So in this particular case, I'm going to use the Aberrant Spirit, and you'll see that there's a summon indicator here, and that means that the armor class and hit points will be derived based off of the level of the character. And you'll also notice here the range attack bonus and the damage is going to be derivative of that value as well. If you look at the Notes tab, you'll see this is just kind of a high-level stat block view of what that would look like, and you could expand that out to make it a little bit straightforward. Here I've got the picture. Again, they included pictures. And then I've got an unlock option here that if I now adjust the summon level, and I say, okay, well, this one is going to be at level 8, you'll notice the AC is going to be 11 plus the spell level. So here, if I make it level 8, then you'll notice that now the armor class is increased. The hit points will have also increased as well for every spell level above 4. So that's how you can adjust that on the fly to get a different kind of stat bonus. And for the final thing to show today, I'm going to show you the import capability. So the importing of an NPC supports both the D&D 24 D&D core rules and the older version, which is like from Monsters of the Multiverse. So I'll demonstrate that first to show you that that still functions even in the 2024 campaign. So if I was to grab some values here, let's just grab Mr. Fiendish Augur here. I'll drop him in, and then he has a description. here, you can right click and say clean up text on both of those, clean up the text. It'll remove any empty spaces, but if you see that, you'll want to just go through here and remove any empty spaces. Make sure everything is left aligned, and make sure that you have this keywords such as actions, bonus actions, reactions, legendary actions, all of that sort of stuff. And then all of these abilities basically follow the syntax of the ability name and a period followed by what it does. Once I do that, I can click import, and now I've got this NPC, and you'll notice that it made a legacy character because it knows that I'm importing a legacy character. It also formats the stat block for me here in a nice readable format under the Notes tab, and I can add my pictures and I can play. But if I don't have a picture, then it'll just use a letter token to represent that NPC. Now if I wanted to clear these out and do the same thing but with a new character, let's do D&D 24, and I'm going to grab, let's see, I'm going to grab a warhorse. Drop that in there. I don't actually have a description for the warhorse. The warhorse is very friendly. All right, so that'll basically do that for me. Same thing, you can right click and say clean up text, hit import, and now I've got a warhorse, and it's going to use the new format. And the melee attack rolls, everything is going to be recognized for me automatically. The Notes tab is going to render it a little bit differently, so it'll look like the new format that is used. And yeah, that should be all set. You can customize this further if you want. It will not automatically fill in the summon stuff. So if this is a summon character, I will want to update this by checking that flag, modifying the base AC and hit points and all that sort of jazz. But for basic characters, it'll work just out of the box as is. So that's it. That's a super quick rundown of the 2024 rules within Fantasy Grounds and how you can get access to that. If you see anything that you want us to look at automating or adding or improving, please let us know on our forums or on Steam if you purchase through Steam on the discussions there, and we'll take a look at it and see what we can do. Thanks for your support, and happy gaming.